Welcome back to the Stretch to Forward podcast. I'm Matt, and I'm here with Venush, and a lot has actually happened since the last time we talked. We're gonna go over some of the All Star Game controversy, some of the Jokic. He just dropped a 50 piece last night. LeBron has been playing really well, but pretty much an hour right before we started recording this podcast, Derrick Rose, a trade that was in the rumors, a trade that we kind of predicted. We said either Knicks or Clippers last episode. It's pretty much confirmed that from Shams Charania that Derrick Rose is heading on his way back to New York for Dennis Smith Jr. in an undisclosed draft pick. I'm assuming it's going to be a second, or maybe that Clippers first that the Knicks have. What are your initial thoughts on this trade?
Derrick Rose is not going to win a championship anytime soon. Uh, it sucks that he didn't make his way to the Clippers, where they're championship contenders, and D Rose could get that ring.
Yep.
Tom Thibodeau, hopefully, he still believes in it quickly because he's shown a lot of talent and potential, and he's scoring in bunches. So hopefully, D Rose could just be a mentor to him and not really take away too much minutes from him. I don't know what the is it a trio now? Like Rose, Alfred Payton, and Quickly.
I guess.
So one of them has to play shooting guard a little bit. Derrick Rose and Quickly are kind of scorers, so maybe they can get some minutes there. Yeah, it's just a minute concern, like whose minutes are getting cut out because Dennis Smith Jr. wasn't getting any minutes. So I wonder whose minutes are gonna go.
Yeah, it's a shame that he didn't get traded to a team like the Clippers, which would have been perfect for him because he would have had playing time, and it would have been he actually would have been able to help raise their playoff ceiling. But I don't mind the Knicks either. Obviously, the Tom Thibodeau connection, just a veteran, another veteran to bring to that roster. And the Knicks kind of started off as like a just a fun story, outperforming expectations. But I actually think they're kind of a real team now. Like they're right around there with the Hawks for me. The Raptors, they're better than like the Magic. They're just I think they're that 7 to 11 to 12 range in the East. They could be as high as a 7 seed, and if Miami doesn't turn around, maybe the Knicks even slip ahead of them in the East. Uh, like you said, Emmanuel quickly off the bench. That bench is actually kind of fun to watch. They run a tight rotation. Obviously, the starters play huge minutes, but quickly's been really good. Rivers has been kind of up and down, but pretty good. Alec Burks, since he returned from injury, has been really good, and they're fun to watch. I think he's going to be a nice veteran to bring in, and just help them get more buckets off the bench and bring that intensity. I think this is a pretty good move, and with this trade, it makes me think that Julius Randle is probably not going to get traded. This seems like a win now move to me. Just double down on that hardworking culture that Thibodeau was setting there, and yeah, looks like the Knicks are trying to make that play in and maybe even push further than that and be into that 6 seed.
Yeah, my question is what does this trade really do? Like, why do you want to push for the 8 seed so badly? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Why push for an 8 seed when you have the no wheel superstar that's young and can be a number one option on a championship level team? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like Julius Randle, he's not going to improve more than what he is right now. Tom, RJ Barrett is great. Obviously, we love him because he's a Canadian, but
yeah.
if we're being frank, he's not a leader of a championship level team. Mitchell Robinson's a good center, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I think they're going around the Clippers and Raptors route where you're good, where you're not really good, and then you just trade for a superstar instead of going through the draft. Trust the process. 76ers, even the Lakers who went to the draft, got a lot of talent and then traded.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're going around this Clippers and Raptors route, and it's a very new proposal, I guess, to the NBA because we've only been seeing it happen the last 10 years. So it's interesting to see, and it's interesting to see. At least RJ, we know he's gonna get an easier time on the floor now with Derrick Rose because it's another option. So less doubles,
Yeah,
less triples, stuff like
yeah.
that.
And he's actually been really good the last almost month. He's averaging close to 20. Really good 3 point shooting, really good percentage from the field. So he's trending upwards, and he's looking closer and closer to that third overall pick that he was just last year. And that's actually a really good point that you said. The last not even 5 years, the last 2 to 3 years, the trend that we've been seeing in the NBA, like you said, with the Clippers, even the Heat, is
Yeah.
just establish a culture, get in as an 8 seed, maybe get swept. Just do outperform expectations. Don't tank. Double down on your culture, and you can attract superstars either through trade requests or in the free agent market. There isn't a superstar free agent this season, but yeah, the Knicks look like they're positioning themselves to be doing that. Their pick isn't going to be low enough to draft a superstar in the draft, and they're obviously not probably looking at even winning a playoff series, but just getting that culture, getting the Knicks back in the kind of respectable, uh, they're being
Conversation.
respected by the conversation of those respectable teams, and to start actually being considered as a free agent or trade destination.
Yeah, it just sucks because Dennis Smith Jr. was kind of the centerpiece of that trade for
Yeah,
Kristaps Porzingis, and he just got shipped out for Derrick Rose on a 1 year expiring, who's way past his prime
yeah,
and who's gonna leave next year. Like Derrick Rose is not re-signing; he's gonna sign a minimum contract with a contender.
yeah.
So yeah, it just sucks. Like looking retrospectively from that trade, because the picks. Correct me if I'm wrong. None of those picks are really playing out great from the Dallas side too. So
To
yeah,
to be fair, Porzingis is looking kind of more questionable and questionable as the weeks and months go on. So we'll have to wait another year or two to see where that trade kind of lands. But yeah, it's really a shame about Dennis Smith Jr. I haven't seen him play, and it feels like forever. I watch a lot of Knicks, and I haven't even seen him play once, really, that I can remember. He kind of out of the blue requested to be sent to the G League by the Knicks, and I think they granted that request. Do you expect that to still happen with the Pistons, or is he actually going to get playing time there?
he has to get playing time, right? Killian Hayes is
Killing Hayes,
injured.
yeah,
D Rose was getting 20 minutes a game, or 24 minutes a game.
yeah,
Uh, the guy who's setting up point guard, uh, Delon Wright, our guy,
yeah,
he can easily play shooting guard or small forward.
easily. Probably
Josh
better suited at
Jackson,
shooting guard.
yeah, Josh Jackson is playing that forward role, and Wayne Ellington. Those are guys that Josh Jackson's young, but like I'm pretty sure you want to prioritize Smith if he has any potential. So yeah, I would hope he gets some playing time. And if you look at his rookie year numbers, like
Yeah,
he was a good rookie. Like if you told me like he comes back and averages like 15 and 6, like his sophomore year when he was a
yeah,
rookie, I'd 100% believe that. And now that he's like struggling to get minutes
yeah.
on a clear rebuilding team 2 years down the line, yeah, like it would be tough for that to happen.
I hope he gets playing time there. Like you said, he had a good rookie season. We thought him with Luka Doncic was going to be maybe a nice duo in Dallas. Obviously, ended up getting traded in the Porzingis trade, and the Knicks, like RJ Barrett had such a bad rookie year because that roster was just terrible. It was even worse when Dennis Smith Jr. got there. He he didn't really ever have a chance at succeeding in New York. He obviously is talented, one of the most athletic young point guards that we've seen in a long time. I hope he gets that chance with the Pistons. They're already the worst team in the league. What else can happen? Just take a shot on this guy. Maybe you get a nice backcourt with him and Killian Hayes going into the future. Maybe he ends up being even a trade asset or just a bench piece, whatever. He obviously has potential, and I really want to see that play out in Detroit.
Yeah, all like if Dennis Smith Jr. shoots 35% from three from for like the rest of the season, which is
Yeah,
a big if, but if he does, like there you go, you have a solid six man and a solid bench
yeah,
player because he could do everything within the three. It's just that 3 point shot that's
yeah,
really limiting him.
yeah, exactly. All right, so let's move on to probably what's the main story of this past week in the NBA. When we last recorded, it was just kind of starting the rumor of an All Star game maybe being played in Atlanta. Since then, it's been confirmed March 7th in Atlanta. I think it's March 7th in Atlanta. And it was met by kind of immediate criticism from the media. Obviously, it's a safety risk putting all of your best players in the same place in the height of COVID. That could I can easily see situations where this goes terribly wrong for the league. And after that, just in the last couple of days, LeBron James in uh, just openly spoke out against it, saying, "I will be there physically because I'm a professional, but I will not be there mentally. I will not be trying." I was honestly surprised that he was so outspoken against Adam Silver and outspoken against this decision. Do you agree with him? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, well, he also got support from Giannis and the
Giannis.
Kupo, James Harden,
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard, De'Aaron Fox, Joe Harris. Three of those guys are all stars in Giannis, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So that's like what, 4 of your 10 starters openly saying they don't want to play in it. Yeah, this All-Star game is just not happening. Like
Do you
Adam
think it's gonna get
Silver,
canceled? Do you think Adam
yeah,
Silver is just gonna
100%.
really?
Like if 40% of your
Yeah.
starters just don't want to play in it, like it's not gonna happen. Like what they can do is like they could just like have like the events, like they could have a dunk off, they could
Okay.
have a 3-point shooting contest because you could do that in your own gym, right?
Yeah.
And they could just like play it or like post it on their Instagram because like they don't have to do this like traditional
Mm-hmm.
media, go on TV and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They could go the digital route and stuff like that. They could
Yeah.
have like a horse tournament. Like they could just do so much. They could just be so much more creative,
Mm-hmm.
where they still bring in that attention and buzz around All-Star break, but not really have the game and the risks. So yeah, I just can't see it happening because no one wants it. No one wants to play in it.
Well, even before this year, the All Star selection, actual All Star teams are way more exciting than the actual game itself. I can't even imagine an All Star weekend without fans. The All Star games are hard to watch, with the exception of last year.
Yeah,
They're hard to watch with a full stadium. I can't even imagine a silent stadium, an All Star game. On top of that, all the stars saying that they're openly against it and aren't going to be trying, aren't going to be there mentally. That just sounds like this All Star weekend is going to be a horrible disaster. You promise these players who've been playing really, really like truncated schedules, playing a lot of high minutes, a lot of back to backs. You promise them like a 5 day break and then you just take it away from them.
yeah,
Doesn't really make much sense to me. This shouldn't have happened from the beginning, but I honestly don't know if I can see Adam Silver kind of reneging on that. That seems like it would be a weak move to just a few days after you confirm it, make all the plans to just cancel it because a few stars are openly against it. They do need that revenue from the game itself. That's obviously why they did it.
yeah,
I don't know. So you actually think it's going to get canceled?
yeah. I just don't think they want to like put out a display where it's just guys shooting threes because is anyone even gonna like drive in that game? Like, can you realistically
No.
see anyone driving in?
No.
Like, I just see the ball like they take turns 1 to 5, dribble, dribble, dribble.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm at the 3-point line. No one's playing defense. Let me shoot the shot. Okay, I missed. I got it in. Your turn. Go do it. But that's what they're gonna do for the whole like game. And then fourth quarter's gonna come and they're gonna do the exact same thing. And the starters are gonna be asked to get subbed. The new guys are gonna want to play like if like Bradley Beals stuff like that
Yeah.
because they haven't been there a lot and they just want to shoot the threes. But yeah, like LeBron's gonna be probably asked to sit. Giannis is probably gonna ask to sit. Kawhi's gonna ask to sit. James Harden's gonna ask to sit. So like you have all those guys not wanting to play, not in the fourth quarter, just a bunch of 3-point shots. It's gonna be such a bad display. It's gonna leave such a bad taste in
Yeah.
fans' mouth.
Exactly.
I'd rather be left with like the memory of the last All-Star game and like Kyle Lowry drawing charges, like that crazy fourth
Yeah.
quarter. I'd rather be left with that memory going into next year when hopefully all the vaccines are administrative and stuff, rather than this memory of 3-point shooting and like everyone sitting.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. That this is just no matter what happens, if this actually does go down, it's going to leave such a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It's going to be some of the worst basketball that maybe has ever been played in history with
Yeah.
an empty stadium, no energy at all. It's just going to be terrible. They should cancel it, and I just don't know if they will. I really hope they do because you even have to. Sure, you're going to make some revenue that the league really needs in a year like this, but what if one or two or three or all of the players end up catching COVID from this, and the league and the playoffs, which is the real revenue maker, could be put in jeopardy from this? This doesn't make any sense to me at all. But
Also,
we,
it's
yeah,
also like it's gonna impact records so much, right? If every single All Star has to sit
yeah,
and they can't play, and then a team like the Suns who are good, but maybe don't get an All Star, and maybe like Chris Paul and Devin Booker don't make
mm-hmm,
it, like they could go on a huge winning streak, and you're looking at a number 2 seed Suns because all these All Stars have to sit for like 2 weeks,
yeah,
like including like Jokic and stuff. Like imagine Jokic gets taken out of Denver because of contact tracing.
yeah,
Like they're gonna
and
get destroyed every
it
single
screwed up
game.
the MVP race, the playoff seedings, everything. This could
Yeah,
be a disaster.
and then we have like a 10 seeded Nuggets who missed the
Yeah,
playoffs, or 11 seeded Nuggets who missed the playoffs because Jokic has to sit for 3-4 weeks
yeah,
if he catches COVID or if he has contact tracing, and then
yeah,
like it's just going to be such a huge asterisk on this season, and that's all we're going to talk about. The 2021
yeah,
season, we're going to
yeah,
talk about. There's going to be YouTube videos made. The All Star game ruined this season.
yeah. I can see it already, and it's not even that far fetched.
Yeah,
Okay, so on a little bit of a lighter note, the first round of All Star voting came out. We are going to be coming out with our full teams and our picks next episode, but just as a little preview. Currently, the standouts for me are Kevin Durant is about 600,000 votes ahead of Giannis for top spot on the East front court, and Bradley Beal is leading the pack in the West.
yeah.
Bradley Beal was an All Star snub last year. Averaged what was he averaging at the All Star break? 35 or something.
I think he was averaging like 30, 20, 37 and 6 or something like that.
Something like that.
Something
He's
crazy.
averaging 30 something. I forget the exact number this year. Uh, so it's a little bit surprising to me that that the Bradley Beal on such a bad team in the Wizards is leading the fan voting, but maybe this is just makeup votes from last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, so we'll go through it. The front court
Yeah,
is for the East, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. Perfect in my opinion.
yeah, 100%.
The guards are Bradley Beal and Kyrie. Kyrie shouldn't make it.
No,
James Harden should. And James Harden's only 80,000 points behind. So James Harden's definitely getting that spot over Kyrie. What do you think?
I agree. I think James Harden in the last week or two, he's been better than Kyrie. He's been becoming that point guard that we've all hoped he would become on the Nets, and I think 80,000 votes away. I think that's going to be his.
Yeah, and the key thing is James Harden never took that week break,
Yeah,
which we don't criticize that much because we don't know
yeah.
what was actually going on, but a lot of fans do criticize it. So we'll just like,
Uh, he has been criticized this season
yeah,
too, so it's probably equal with both of them. Kyrie missed a week, and James Harden played a few games in the Western Conference this year.
yeah,
Equal criticism. I do agree it's probably going to go to James Harden, but we'll talk about that more in our next episode.
yeah. And then for the guards, we have, for the West Coast, we
Yeah,
have LeBron, Jokic, Kawhi. I agree
perfect.
with those three.
Yeah,
And then the guards, we have Steph and Luca. I agree with that too.
I do agree with that. Uh,
And the
yeah,
one thing I want to point out for the numbers is Luka Doncic last year was pretty close to LeBron James, and where it's like, whoa, this guy in his second year almost beat
yeah,
LeBron and fan voting. Like, you see that popular? Like, oh, like he's so popular. Like we're always talking about that. You even have his jersey.
I
And
do.
like, yeah, his popularity is crazy. And this year he's only at 1.4 million votes, whereas Steph is at 2.1, LeBron's at
Yeah,
2.2, KD's at 2.3, leading the league. Like he's almost a million votes behind those guys. And like, what happened? Why are the fans not voting for him anymore?
I don't know him and Giannis. I didn't expect Giannis to be ahead of KD. That doesn't surprise me at all. But to be almost 600,000 votes behind KD, and then like you said, this huge drop off from Luka Doncic makes sense to me for Giannis. Pretty much
Or
everyone
fatigue?
other than Bucks fans is starting to have doubts about him as a winning player. He's dropping in the kind of fan favorite rankings, faces league rankings. Makes sense to me. Luka kind of surprises me because he was pretty much just because he's a fan favorite was considered the MVP favorite coming into the league
Yeah.
and was considered the next face of the league. Not surprised he's behind Steph in this huge, awesome comeback year for Steph, but to be so far behind him, is it because he's kind of becoming one of the more well-known complainers and whiners in the league, and kind of his body language and maybe some of the efficiency problems that he's had this year?
Yeah, I think the complaining and how
Yeah.
when the media is kind of pushing the complaining too, but you can also see it when you're watching him play. He
Oh
does
yeah,
complain a lot.
obvious.
So yeah, that complaining definitely is docking him.
Yeah.
And where we're talking about someone who's like the fourth or the fifth or sixth most popular player in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that complaining, we personally think that he would easily be around that Steph, LeBron, and
Yeah.
KD range.
He'd be in that range.
Yeah,
Probably fourth out of four, but he'd be in that range.
but I think once he has more playoff success and stuff like that, and his career gets more established, he will
Yeah.
come back to that level. But yeah, right now the complaining is just hurting him.
Yeah. Agreed.
Kind of surprised to see Jokic there though. I know he's playing amazing, and I know he's putting up MVP numbers. But man, more votes than Kawhi, Anthony Davis, Paul George. Like I'm kind of gassed to see that.
I so am I. Paul George doesn't surprise me. A
Yeah,
lot of people hate Paul George. Unfair, some unfairly, some fairly. Whatever. Kawhi Leonard is probably a better player than Jokic, but he is not even close to the personality that he is. Makes sense to me. Anthony Davis isn't having the greatest year of his career. It's probably maybe the worst year of his career. Definitely his worst year so far as a Laker. So it doesn't and throw on top of that Jokic, the numbers he's averaging, what he's doing night in and night out, makes sense to me.
yeah. We also have to shout out Golden State fans because they have voted Andrew Wiggins to the seventh spot in
Yeah.
forwards,
And Clay
and they
Thompson.
have voted Klay Thompson to the 10th spot
Yeah.
in guards. So
Yeah.
they're going strong for their guys
Yeah.
and their new big three.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising to see Andrew Wiggins over Draymond Green, but yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
that's surprising.
yeah,
Hmm.
but it is what it is. Derrick Rose consistently always in the
Yeah.
top 10. He's eighth again. Someone which is surprised me is Trey Young's drop off. He's
Hmm.
in sixth behind Zach LaVine, Jalen Brown. Like I thought he would be fourth right after the big three of Harden, Kyrie, and
Jalen Brown has been kind of unbelievable this year. So that kind of makes sense, but he's not quite on the fan favorite level of Trey Young.
yeah. And then the number 10 spot, Jerry Grant. That's pretty nice to see. He's
Yeah.
playing well and he
Yeah.
deserves at least
Yeah.
some conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm happy he's there.
Yeah. Before we move on from All Stars, one takeaway from this that is very sad to both of us is that there are no Raptors.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, I'm of the opinion that he might be a borderline Hall of Fame player now, but a seventh All Star, I think that pretty much would be a Hall of Fame lock for him. This is not by no means his last chance to be an All Star, but I mean, he's not getting any younger. Sad to see him not in the All Star conversation. Fred VanVleet, fresh off a 54-point Raptors franchise record game, not in there either. He's an all-star caliber player, but just doesn't put up the offensive numbers and consistency to be there. And Pascal Siakam, after being an all-star starter last year, not even in the top 10 of voting.
And yeah, it kind of surprises me, but I guess the Raptors were
Raptors fans are
having,
real. They're not delusional anymore. They understand
yeah.
that Pascal Siakam has not been an all-star caliber player this year.
And I was going to say Raptors also had a huge bandwagon support last year because it
Yeah,
was off the championship year. The whole city was buzzing. It was being played in bars more than the Leafs.
yeah,
So there was that buzz, that 1 year kind of inflated buzz,
yeah,
which is now coming back down, and Raptors are entering more
yeah,
realistic realms where it's kind of the real fans are still here and
yeah.
the bandwagon fans are
I mean,
going to the Leafs again.
and they're playing in Tampa Bay too, so
Yeah,
they're not even in Toronto. They're not as much on the minds of fans there, the
Toronto's.
casual fans in Toronto than they have been in recent years. But they they shouldn't have an all star. Realistically, they
Yeah,
don't deserve one. No player has played to that level, and that's just how it is. All right, so let's move on to another topic that we discussed last week. Was it last week? Yeah, when
yeah.
we made our NBA awards picks 2 weeks ago. My bad. 2 weeks ago, we made our NBA awards picks, and we didn't even discuss LeBron for MVP. We had Embiid, KD, and Jokic in some order as the top three. Since then, Jokic has dropped a 50-point game last night, almost a 50-point triple double, not even in overtime. He has probably put himself into top two conversation in MVP rankings right now, ahead of Embiid, even though his team is not winning nearly enough. Uh, what are they in 8 seed right now? Something like that.
No, I think they're fourth seed. Correct
Oh,
me
are
if
they
I'm
actually?
wrong. Yeah,
My bad.
I'll search it up right now. You keep going.
Yeah. So, but since then,
Sixth seed.
LeBron succeeded. So LeBron has strung together a few really good performances. He's been an unbelievable leader, obviously, on that team. He's far outplaying Anthony Davis, and the media has kind of taken up this LeBron for MVP campaign. Where do you stand on this? Is it a top two of LeBron and Jokic? Is LeBron the front runner right now? How do you see this?
I actually changed my mind and agreed with you from 2 weeks ago. I think Embiid
Hmm.
is the clear favorite because his team's just number one,
Yeah.
and it usually goes to a 1 or 2 seed. I think Jokic is having that Westbrook-esque season where you have the best stats, but your team's not good enough. And right now it's just hard to differentiate between LeBron, Embiid, and Jokic. KD is kind of falling off because more
Yeah,
credits being dispersed to his other two teammates.
yeah,
Uh, AD is playing not at a superstar level; he's playing at an
yeah.
all-star level. So
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is getting that buzz that he deserves,
Yeah,
and those three are kind of just like they're just there. Like you know what I mean? They're just like rotating 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and yeah, Nuggets need to go on a big win streak because they're 5.5 games back from the Jazz, the number one seed,
yeah,
and they're 5 games back from the Lakers, who are a two seed.
yeah,
LeBron's only half game back from the Jazz, and Embiid's number one. So we're talking about 1 and 2 seed superstars versus a 6 seed superstar. So it's going to be tough for Jokic
yeah,
unless a huge win streak happens.
yeah,
And it's just going to be Embiid versus LeBron. And as we said, Embiid just doesn't have the narrative. Like, yes, he's putting up amazing
yeah,
numbers. You said he should have won that 2 weeks ago. Now, after 2 weeks of basketball, I agree with you. And he's putting up 29 points and 11 rebounds.
yeah,
Crazy. He's dominating the paint. He's the best, like, presence for a team because, like, he just attracts so many doubles. And yeah, it's just going to be LeBron or
yeah.
Jokic. Whoever has the best record is probably going to get the award.
Yeah, I agree. Embiid right now, he's the top seed in the East, putting up unreal numbers. The Embiid that we've always wanted to see. They beat the Lakers in their matchup. LeBron may have outplayed him, but still, they beat the Lakers. I think it was by one. I just I've been thinking about what you said on that episode about how wins, like how much does seeding really mean this year, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so many weird results we see, that results that just don't make sense. Does does record even mean anything this year? Is it all just going to come down to stats and the most historic seasons being put together by these players? Because Jokic pretty close to averaging like a 26, 27 point triple double, something like that. I haven't double checked the stats in a couple of days, but he's dropping 50-point games. It's gotten to the point where it's every single night he's doing this. And it's the same with LeBron, but Jokic's stats are better than LeBron's. LeBron's team is doing a lot better than his. I don't know. I just think Jokic is putting together such a historic season. Almost every night we're seeing this. Like Jokic is the first to do this for a center since Bill Russell, since whoever, and it's. I think he's actually kind of maybe elevated himself in that conversation, even though his team has a worse record than by far a worse record than those other two guys.
Yeah. If Jokic actually gets the average of a triple double, like if
Yeah,
he actually achieves that, then I think the award will go to him. But he's clearly not numbers hunting as a
yeah,
Westbrook was.
yeah,
You know, the 3 years Westbrook did average. You
yeah,
could see Steven Adams not go for the board. Or you could see Westbrook dish off a layup for a dunk for Steven Adams. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Jokic is not really doing that. He's kind of just like, hey, if I'm open for this layup, I'm taking the layup. Hey, like if Michael Porter Jr. or RJ Hampton has clearly got that board, I'm gonna push up a little bit
yeah.
to get like a lead pass going or the offense rolling. So like the way he plays, I can't see him actually getting the average of a triple double.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely gonna be close. He's gonna be close for the rest of his career probably, but I just can't see him averaging it. And because of that, I just see him as a lock for the third seed because I don't see this team going on a crazy win streak. I think they can get that fourth seed though.
Yeah.
They're only half a game back from the fourth seed, so they can be a fourth seed lock. And I just think that'll put them at the third spot. And then it's just going to be LeBron versus Embiid. And I think they're just
And
going to give it to LeBron because
yeah, we know who's gonna win that one.
he's one behind Michael Jordan. It's going to be a good story going in. Hey, he
Yeah.
tied Michael Jordan on MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to tie Kobe and Magic on championships. Like, it's just gonna be a good narrative to push,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of excited to hear from it from the media. Stephen A. Skip Bayless hating on it
Mm. Yeah.
and supporting Embiid.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of debates for it.
Yeah. It's interesting because usually LeBron's obviously always in the top three, usually in the top two, and usually it's like the Stephen A's are pushing for LeBron. Not even Stephen A. A lot of fans and media are pushing for LeBron MVP, but the actual writers who vote for him,
Yeah,
they're usually all Giannis, Harden, Westbrook, whatever. They're not usually for LeBron, but it feels a little different to me. Some of the people I've listened to that actually have votes, they're all saying LeBron is the top one right now. So it does feel a little different. LeBron feels like he's making that push himself for MVP. Anthony Davis not playing like an MVP candidate this year definitely helps him. And if it comes down to LeBron and Embiid, LeBron is going to take that every day. I think Jokic is far more of a fan favorite, far more of just a likable player and a
Yeah,
more fun player to watch than Embiid. So if he actually is in there just because of his stats and if his record improves, maybe he takes it. But yeah, obviously we're only not even a third of the way through the season. We have to see how this plays out.
yeah. And the 76ers also have had a relatively easy schedule, and the Bucks are only 1.5 games behind them. Celtics and Nets are only 3.5 games behind them.
Yeah,
So if those teams like the Bucks can start ringing again like a 20-game win streak, because we
yeah,
know how good they are, and we
yeah,
know how good they are in the regular season to be specific,
yeah,
and the 76ers drop to the 2 seed, it's pretty much a wrap. Like
yeah.
the
Oh
only
no,
way,
yeah. Embiid is not winning MVP without a one seed. That it's
yeah,
impossible. Even if he's averaging the same numbers, even if he's tied for the same record as the one seed, but a tiebreaker makes him a two seed, he's this is not his award. It's just not happening.
yeah, to beat LeBron, you got to have the 1 seed.
Yeah,
And I can't see Jokic doing it. And Embiid's is up in question. So right
yeah.
now, we have to
And
give the award to LeBron.
it was an argument last year over Giannis versus LeBron, and Giannis was the defensive player of the year. Giannis
Mhm.
was averaging like Wilt type numbers. Embiid is not quite on that level. So
Yeah,
just having a one seed and averaging like a 27 and 11 like he's doing right now is probably not going to be enough. But
yeah,
it's there's like I said, there's far too many games left in the season to be arguing about that right now.
yeah. And the defensive award, Embiid might actually come up for that too, because Anthony Davis is kind of slipping a little bit. So that's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be another good debate.
Yeah, with the way the Jazz are winning, I don't know. Maybe
Gobert
Gobert
might get into,
takes home
yeah,
another one. You never know. It's going to be one of those three.
yeah,
But yeah. All right, so that pretty much does it for the news that went down this week. Uh, we can talk about fantasy now. We
yeah,
can talk about NBA Top Shot. There's been a little bit of news in that. It's if you haven't joined NBA Top Shot since we mentioned it last week, there has been uh the website's been getting a little bit better. So I hope that maybe soon we can move out of the beta for it and we can start seeing like pushing it like you said by players and by ads and stuff like that. Just yesterday, I don't know if you saw, but there was a pack drop for a legendary icon worth $999. Uh,
yeah.
I entered the draw, didn't quite get it. I can't believe I was prepared to spend $1,000 on a virtual highlight, but the minimum profit you can make off that is like $2,000. So that was my
Yeah.
justification. But yeah, NBA Top Shot's gonna blow up. Uh, have you had a chance to get any to buy any moments or anything like that since we last
Every
talked?
time I've been in the pack drop thing, the website crashed for me.
Yeah,
That's twice it crashed for me.
yeah,
That legend one was essentially you're making $1,000 just by entering if you get chosen.
yeah.
Because the worst card there, like everyone who got selected, they made $1,000 minimum because the worst card is $2,000 on the
Yeah,
market.
yeah,
So you're either making $1,000, but you can also make like five, six
a
thousand
lot more than that.
dollars.
Yeah,
So yeah, so right now Top Shot's just guaranteed to make you money if you get packs.
yeah.
So just get packs, get the market
Get
flowing,
packs. Buy if you
sell.
can. If
Yeah,
you have money that you're not like that you're okay with kind of spending
losing.
right now, buy
Yeah,
some Series One cards because Series Two is in the middle of it right now, and I think in 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, when they're on like Series 15, and you have a Series One card of like a rookie or something, that's gonna be just shoot up in value. So that would be my advice right now. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I've been doing.
yeah, and you guys also got to realize like we're at a stage right now like Pokemon was back in like '97.
Yeah,
Pokemon booster packs are now going for 2 million. Local Ball just spent two
yeah,
million on like what five boxes. I'm not saying that these are going to be like that, but I'm just saying
yeah,
it has potential to be like that. So if you want to spend $14, like you don't have to spend
yeah,
$1,000 like the legendary packs. You just need to spend $14 to get in there,
yeah.
get your like warmed up, see what's happening, and it's definitely a fun investment for basketball players, I would say, or basketball fanatics.
Definitely. All right, so that's pretty much it for Top Shot. Should we just end it off with fantasy like we always do?
Yeah. So for fantasy, notable injuries is Christian Wood. So if DeMarcus
Mhm.
Cousins is somehow on your waiver wire, scoop him up instantly because he's gonna get you
Yeah,
a little bit of everything. defensive stats, rebounds. The field goal percentage is up or down, but it has potential to be up. Free throw percentage is decent. Yeah, he's the best pickup by far since the Wood injury.
Yeah, completely agree. Unfortunately, Larry Nance Jr. Just went down for I think it's 6 weeks. So, I mean, Jared Allen's obviously owned in almost every league probably. Do you actually see a fantasy impact from this other than it just sucks if you had Nance because the Cavs just have so many bigs that are just going to soak up those minutes, right?
Yeah, Kevin Love's also returning.
Yeah,
He's unlikely to play on this road trip that the Cavs are on right now, but he's owned in 77% of leagues. So if you're the
yeah,
23%, he's not owned.
yeah,
Maybe scoop him up, put him on your IL, check him
yeah,
out. And until Kevin Love returns, people to look out for is Prince, Seti Osman. They'll just get more minutes, more time. They're not going to really be that great, but if you're in a deep league like us, 16-man league,
yeah,
those players are worth looking out for.
yeah. And this might be advice for a deeper league like ours, but I mean, Emmanuel quickly, I'm not sure how he's going to be impacted by Derrick Rose
Yeah,
just yet, but he's only 52% rostered on Yahoo leagues. In the last 2 weeks, he's averaging almost an 18 points, shooting, giving you taking 4 free throws a game, hitting 93% of them, and not even terrible from the field at 44%. So he's been really good. He's been kind of up and coming. He's been an instant bucket off the bench for them in the last few weeks. If he's not owned, probably pick him up now. May take a hit with Derrick Rose, but I hope not because he's been playing really well as a rookie.
yeah. And another person to mention for the Derrick Rose trade is Delon Wright. He should be owned in every league. He's owned
Yeah.
in 64% leagues right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's ranked 57 for the season rank. His per game average is 79th ranked. So he's going to be a top 100 player
Yeah.
no matter what Dennis Smith Jr. or Killian Hayes does when they return or come to the team. So yeah, if a top 100 player is on your waiver wire,
Yeah.
unless you're in like a 6-man league, he should be owned.
Yeah. All right, so that pretty much does it for this episode. Like I said, we will be coming next week with our all-star picks, not just the starters, but our whole picks, our whole teams. Pretty interested to see how we compare. It seems like we have so far pretty equal opinions about some of these players, but
Yeah.
hopefully we disagree a little bit. Other than that, thank you guys for listening and check out our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. SDF Clips. Follow us on Instagram at Stress the Floor Podcast. Rate the podcast 5 stars. Leave a review. I think you can comment. So you can subscribe to the podcast. You can do that. Like I said, we'll be back next week. And thank you guys for listening.